Alright, so we got some breaking news in the state of Nevada and the state of Michigan. And we got some more stuff on the Dominion voting software, which now it starts to lapse from the realm of sheer plausible deniability into the kind of strange, and we get to invoke the name of the leftist boogeyman himself. But before we dive into that, first we're going to take a look at Nevada here, because yesterday Trump hails big victory in Nevada after county board tosses local election results. President Trump on Monday celebrated what he called a big victory, a huge victory, a victory the likes of which you'll never see in Nevada after Clark County commissioners declined to certify the election results for a county commission race. Though the decision does not directly impact the presidential election results, which commissioners certified. The big victory moments ago in the state of Nevada that all Democrat county commissioners race on the same ballot as president just thrown out because of the large-scale voter discrepancy. Clark County officials do not have confidence in their own election security. Major impact, Trump tweeted. The Clark County Commission, which governs the Las Vegas area, certified the results of the November 30 election with the exception of the county commissioner for District C, which was divided by 10 votes. Nice and close. District C voter split 76,586 for Democrat Ross Miller and 76,576 for Republican Stavros Anthony, KLAS TV reports. Register for voters Joe Gloria told commissioners, "We have found discrepancies that we can't explain and would cast doubt on whether or not that margin of victory is solid." Kind of my reaction when I've seen this as well. Gloria said there were 139 discrepancies in District C, including 6 people who voted twice. So 12 people there, or 12 ballots I should say, and that would immediately eclipse the 12 vote discrepancy. According to local reporters who covered the Monday certification hearing, the county commissioner asked Gloria to report back on options to rerun the single local election. He said only the race needed to be repeated because that's the only race in the entire election we have any concern related to the outcome. How could you possibly make that statement with a straight face? I did literally, this person voted twice in a city councilor's commission race, but for nothing else though. There's nothing to see here, folks, and you're going to find that to be very, very much the case as we continue forward. Trump lost the state to Democrat Joe Biden by 33,596 votes. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. According to the Associated Press, Clark County is the state's most populous. Well, we all know that. It's the fucking county of Las Vegas, you dolt. With about 70% of the votes in the presidential race. County commissioners on Monday certified that former Vice President Joe Biden received 521,852 votes, and Trump got 430,930. It is unclear if Trump's campaign will seek to challenge their presidential results in Nevada by citing the commission's decision on District Race C. Oh, buddy, guess what the second half of the Nevada story is going to entail? You fucking don't necessarily have to have the same telepathic abilities as Miss Cleo to figure that one out. Because earlier today, we had several people talk at a press conference that was held today that discovered quite a bit of voter fraud in Clark County. A bunch of hyper-partisan statements like, Donald Trump won the state of Nevada. Multiple sources called the election differently. But how many of those are official? And this all hinges on poll watchers. They were not allowed to view any of the ballots that were counted, and there is a huge lawsuit that is going to be dropped down here. We don't have any of the details on it, but guess what? There's a lawsuit that's going to be filed in Nevada. Understandably, it's only 4 electoral votes, but you really need to, especially with this scale of voting irregularities that have been uncovered in so many different counties around the entire country, that yes, we need to figure out what sort of irregularities, fraud has actually taken place, regardless of who ends up being the winner. We need to know that free and fair elections have taken place, not just count all the votes because there's nothing wrong to see. There's nothing to see here. But I think they have a decently strong case. Now we've seen that there were 6 people that voted twice, But how about a blind test to see if the mail-in ballots were legitimate? 8 of 9 mismatched signatures accepted in Nevada mail-in ballot experiment. Oh, Lord have mercy. It appears that that was just not the case. An experiment testing the veracity of Nevada mail-in ballot signature verification reportedly resulted in an 89% failure rate, raising concerns about the integrity of the state's rapidly implemented universal mail-in ballot system. Who would have thought the Democratic machine run by one Harry Reid, who used to be the Democratic Senate Majority Leader, could have possibly produced any sort of voting irregularities? My stars, I could, you know what? I'm devastated. I am shook right to my bones. If it wasn't that uncovering all of those swamp creatures in the previous video about Biden's senior staff, I don't know if my old heart can take this. Las Vegas Review-Journal columnist Victor Jokes said in a Thursday article that he had 9 people use his handwriting rather than his own for mail-in ballot signatures. I wrote their names in cursive using my normal handwriting, then copied my version of their name onto the ballot envelope. This 2-step process was necessary to ensure no laws were broken, Joke said. The result contradicted assurances from Nevada officials that signature verification, the process of matching a voter's signature on file to a signature on the ballot, would prevent fraudulent ballots from being counted. Nothing to see here, folks. No instances of widespread voter irregularity. So we got yesterday with Georgia, we had the 2,600 found ballots, and then we have the glitch that happened where 6,000 ballots in Michigan, which we'll eventually get to, were magically flipped. How about the equivalent number of votes being overturned in New Hampshire? It'll never be enough to satisfy the media's call for widespread instances of voter fraud, especially because they have their head buried so far in the fucking sand when it comes to this. But when it spreads to both coasts of the country now in this point, can we really actually start to use the term widespread, or do we have to continue to say targeted in multiple locations? If you guys want us to use widespread and we'll just go ahead and use the more verbose terminology, I'll be fine with that. 8 of the 9 ballots went through. In other words, signature verification had an 89% failure rate in catching mismatched signatures, Jokes said. Jokes did not reveal photos of the signatures used on the ballots or the names who participated. Nevada's lawmakers in August changed the law to send a mail-in ballot to every voter on the state's rolls. A overwhelmingly Democratic institution, mind you. That resulted in dead voters and voters who had moved receiving mail-in ballots. Photos posted on social media show stacks of mail-in ballots sitting out in the open. Many pro-Trump Nevada protesters told the Washington Examiner last week that they received other people's mail-in ballots. President Trump's campaign has long argued that universal mail-in ballots are vulnerable to fraud, and so has the New York Times in the past, but not this election cycle, because it is the most secure and official presidential election that we have ever had. And please don't look at the man behind the curtain, because there's nothing to see here. And there is also instances right now of many dead people voting in Clark County, which has yet to materialize in any sort of meaningful lawsuit. There are multiple signed affidavits out there from people in Clark County, and that's what the lawsuit that they were dropping today here will further uncover. But I said we're going to be doing a little bit of talking about Dominion voting systems, and we're going to be doing a little talking about Michigan itself, because we have some more breaking news, but I want to tie in the Dominion voting systems to Michigan because they are seemingly one and the same. And we also get to talk about my favorite governor, and somebody who I cannot go a week without having to bring up in a video because she is just so goddamn corrupt. This Michigan mayor and Whitmer chum worked as Dominion project manager. And one of these things is not like the other. One is an evil despot, and the other one's probably just a useful idiot. And I got nothing witty to say. She's really fucking cute. Michigan Mayor Kelly Garrett was also a project manager for Dominion voting software and a friendly favorite of tyrannical and unpopular Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Okay, she's unpopular in the circles that we all run in, especially if you're subscribed to the channel. But for some fucking reason, over 60% of people think that she has handled the COVID crisis to the best of her ability, that they approve of her handling of the COVID crisis, of the pandemic. I don't know if people are smart in Michigan, or maybe they're all just drinking from Flint's taps, but how could you possibly co-sign to that evil woman's policies? I don't fucking get it. Mikhail Garrett, former Dominion project manager, now goes by Kelly Garrett and is the mayor of Lathrop Village, Michigan. Conveniently left Dominion in 2019 to become involved heavily in Michigan politics, having a full understanding of the machines in the swing state. It is fair to note that the city Miss Garrett is mayor of is located in Oakland County, whose large surge helped Biden win Michigan. Okay, I'm not too sure who Wayne Dupree is. I might have to research him a little bit further after this, but Oakland County was one of those counties, along with Kent County, which Dr. Shiva, the man who invented fucking email, did the data analysis on and found that there were certain, everybody's favorite term now, irregularities in the voting patterns there. So yeah, somebody who has inside knowledge on the workings of Dominion voting systems, it kind of gets the old noggin jogging now, doesn't it, folks? Mayor Kelly Garrett is a proud former deputy director of the Michigan Democratic Party. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer thought so much of Garrett that she appointed her to the Commission on Community Action and Economic Opportunity. Miss Garrett has quite an impressive resume, only 7 years after receiving a Master's of Information Systems degree from the online college, Phoenix University. I'm not saying that she'd know directly how to hack those machines, but what else would you use a Master's of Information Systems degree to use? I don't know. She also became the mayor of Lathrop Village. You know what? At least she started from the bottom and worked her way up. I don't mean that sarcastically at all. She did politics the right way. It's just after that it became a little bit sketchy. At the same time that Kelly Garrett was acting mayor of Lathrop Village, she was also working as a full-time project manager, customer relations manager for Dominion voting systems, according to her LinkedIn resume. Kelly started working at Dominion in May of 2017, but a $25 million contract with the state of Michigan, showing Kelly's name as one of the Dominion representatives executing the deal, is dated March 1st, 2017. 2 years after executing the $25 million Dominion voting systems deal with the state of Michigan, Mayor Kelly became the deputy director of the Michigan Democratic Party. Wow, it's weird how all of these voting irregularities seem to always favor one side of the aisle. Maybe it's because the operatives who work for these different suspect systems end up becoming Democrats themselves. I don't know. Maybe I'm just drawing a couple of parallels that aren't necessarily there. The state of Michigan Central Procurement Services contract between the state of Michigan and Dominion Voting Systems was executed to the amount of $24,875,311. The initial effective date is March 1st, 2017. Cheryl Holmes, Dominion State Project Manager, and Kelly Garrett, Dominion Customer Relations Manager, are the Dominion representatives whose names appear on the Michigan Department of Technology, Management, and Budget contract. On her LinkedIn account, Garrett mentions how she was recently appointed by Governor Gretchen Whitmer to the Commission on Community Action and Economic Opportunity. So that means that she's going to get all of those people in need of economic opportunity up into buses by performing community action and get them to the polls. And it doesn't really matter who you vote for, because she's going to use her degree in information systems in order to fix those voting machines. Remember, I'm not an expert on anything. I'm just drawing conclusions based on the information at hand. But we're not done quite yet with Dominion voting software, because, we gotta invoke the name of the boogeyman here. Dun, dun, dun! Former Nazi collaborator, George Soros. Ugh, I hate talking about these nebulous people, and might be a bit of a stretch, but I don't know. There's so many loose ends when it comes to Dominion software that you can't really take anything off the table at this point. Dominion Voting shares office with a far-left George Soros-linked group. Okay, they don't necessarily share the same office, but they do work in closer proximity than some poll watchers were allowed to see ballots counted in Michigan counties. So, vote tabulation company at the center of several controversies surrounding the legitimacy of the American presidential election shares an office floor. Very important to mention here. They don't share the same building. They share the same floor. They don't share the same office, but They are neighbors to one another. With Tides Foundation. Tides, which recently changed its name to the Make Way, is an extreme left eco-radical charity that directs cash supplies by George Soros to smaller groups and organizations to advance the globalist agenda of George Soros. And they're turning the frickin' frogs gay. Dominion voting has come under fire for their vote tabulation machines created in 6,000 vote swing in a single Michigan county, and magically forgot to tabulate because somebody forgot to put in a fucking memory card. What is this, the fucking PS2 era? For, the discrepancy that happened in, I forget the name of the county in Georgia, but the one that I covered yesterday and everybody heard about. And there's also another 2,700 ballots that magically got found here during the, to call it anything less than just a straight recount at this point would be a bit of an understatement what's happening in Georgia. I hope somebody fucking does something about that. Otherwise, we're just going to look like we're, ineffectual assholes like other Republican elected officials, ineffectual jackasses. That's why I don't want to say that I'm a Republican. I support the current direction of the Republicans, not the current, but, the Donald Trumpist wing of it. You get what I mean. The same machines and software were used in every single county in Georgia, and in several other swing states just sent their electoral votes to Joe Biden. So Rebel News, the only, as far as I know, right-wing outlet that is centered in Canada, was on location inside the Dominion voting building located at 215 Spadina Avenue in Toronto. And my camera crew and I were actually removed by a building manager. Not me. That would be Keenan Bexty. Good for him. Doing some actual journalism. But before he stopped us from committing the heinous offense of journalism, we learned that Tides and Dominion requested the building manager remove all signage and references to the shared building occupancy. Great question. Why would they do that? Well, they wouldn't want you to draw any parallels there that are very easy to make. Interesting. And yes, I've made reference to this, but they at least did the fine work of including the ties to the Clinton Foundation here. To further suspect office floor sharing, Dominion Voting also showed their hand when documents surfaced showing they donated between $25,000 and $50,000 to Hillary Clinton's personal foundation, a charity tied closely to Tides Foundation. George Soros actually donated over $9.5 million to Hillary Clinton's successful election campaign. Oh wait, that was $9.5 million well spent. Still not a fucking shade on what Mike Bloomberg wasted this election cycle. Oh, that guy is a colossal failure. It's good to know at least one former mayor of New York is not a complete failure. Oh, but it's all good. We can set our minds at ease here because the last line of the article, Dominion also maintains that assertions of voter fraud conspiracies are 100% false. Assertions. Conspiracies. That means that there is nothing to see here, folks. Remember, look for weasel words when you're looking at different statements put out there by the media, by corporations, and by any general sack of shit out there who you couldn't trust as far as you can throw. Now, okay, from the previous article that we took a look at, that involved Dominion and it involved Michigan. So let's go ahead and take that thread that we had put in there from Michigan, and we'll wrap up the video here with the last bit of breaking news, but it is fairly important and fairly significant. GOP members of Wayne County, that is the Detroit area, Board of Canvassers vote against certifying election results. Let me read that back again. GOP members of Wayne County Board of Canvassers vote against certifying election results. This is huge. I don't know if it's unprecedented, but the last time I can remember this happening is a 404 file in my head. So on Tuesday, 2 Republican members of the Wayne County Board of Canvassers cast an unprecedented vote against certifying the county's November election results for the county's 43 jurisdictions, including Detroit, Michigan's largest voting jurisdiction. Monica Palmer, the Republican chair of the committee, said, "I believe that we do not have a complete and accurate information on these poll books," referring to jurisdictions, including Detroit, that recorded unexplained discrepancies between the number of absentee ballots recorded as cast and the number of absentee ballots counted. John Klinnock, the Democratic vice chair of the board said most of this is human error and it is not based on fraud. See how they always have little fucking outs. It's never an irregularity, it's a glitch. It's never any kind of fraud, it's merely human error. But the entire point of automating these processes is in order to eliminate human error. But if you can still blame human error on these automated processes, does that mean that there's an built-in scapegoat in order for you to blame something in the event that something goes wrong and that your voter fraud scheme eventually oh my god, it's all coming together, folks. It only took 2 weeks. All 4 members of the board unanimously supported the certification of the August primary election, which also saw unexplained discrepancies. During the meeting, Palmer said she would be open to certifying the election results for other jurisdictions that did not record unexplained discrepancies. Public commenters accused the board's Republican members of disenfranchising hundreds of thousands of dead voters, just voters, in refusing the certification of the election. Well, guess what? Count them, check them, audit them, recanvass them, do whatever the fuck you have to in order to prove, that you guys did a good job, right? If you did such a great job, there should be no problem with somebody coming in there and taking a look at what you have there. I don't know, if you have nothing to hide, don't you think that, by taking a look at different things, you should be able to find some discrepancies? Jeez, it's not like there hasn't been anything out there in places like Pennsylvania, Georgia, Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin. Oh, wait, they have happened in every other one of those states right now. So, yeah, we can chalk this up to a win. This is definitely a win. Don't let it be spun in any other way other than the fact that there are local Republicans, to my actual shock, that are actually standing up for what is right and waiting for the correct results to be audited, found out, and then they can go forward with the certification process, because that definitely needs to happen at this point, because there's a bunch of spineless Republicans out there. Like, okay, there's not going to be a video on this because I find it to be completely fucking stupid at this point, but there was another one of these tech hearings, and God bless Ted Cruz for trying to actually do something when it comes to these big tech giants out there, because he was grilling Jack Dorsey, and I haven't watched the videos or any of the fucking interviews because, you know what, they've kind of disenfranchised me at this point with the fact that they keep holding these big, huge meetings, and they all get televised, and you know what, Ted Cruz runs down Jack Dorsey, and he says something stupid, and he looks like a fucking Russian wizard from the early 20th century, and he just mutters into his soup, and he just says something about we're going to try to do better. But at the end of the day, what actually happens with Twitter, Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, MySpace, Friendster, what actually happens to these fucking social media platforms? Nothing. Nothing has happened so far, and especially if Biden manages to rig himself in there, there is not going to be anything that happens with this, and then the Republicans in the Senate will just be told to keep quiet by Rhino Mitch McConnell and Rhino Lindsey Graham, who, okay, I don't really think that there's much behind this, but he gave a fist bump, which apparently is big news in some right-wing circles, and I think that you're probably full of shit if you think that there's anything other than just, a friendly gesture between two colleagues. Kamala Harris wanted to give Lindsey Graham a fist bump, and he returned it in kind and patted her on the back. They work together. You need to be civil with the people that you work together. This is not a big issue, people, okay? You know what? Lindsey Graham has put his money where his mouth is. He's given $500,000 of his own money to the Trump legal defense team, and all we're asking for is real results to this election, not dead people voting, not people voting twice, not people voting early and often. We just want to know the results. And you know what? If Kamala Harris is going to be vice president and one day president within the next 4 years, we just want to know that it was fair, okay? Maybe there aren't as many MAGA supporters out there as everybody kind of thinks that there is, based on these huge rallies in all the swing states. I don't know. I just, like, a lot in this video. We've been putting 2 and 2 together and coming out with 4. And you know what? The only thing that comes out as a 5 are these election results if we just take them all at wholesale face value. So the more information that comes out, the less this election is looking legit. So, yeah, we'll see what happens in Nevada. We should get more information on that tomorrow. And, yeah, the Georgia recount is still going on. And we should be getting something out of Sidney Powell, who's one of the lead attorneys on the Trump defense team. And, yeah, information coming in like a fire hose. How about you fucking leak this out to the public here before we all start to kind of turn on this as just being a whole bunch of nothing. Anyways, guys, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.